Hello, in this video I shall be giving the analysis of a topic. The topic is the US troops withdrawing from Afghanistan impact on India. So we have heard that the United States troops are withdrawing from their long stand in Afghanistan, and how that is going to impact India is what we are going to see. And US is there primarily for this reason of conflict resolution between Taliban and the government in Afghanistan. This is a part of Afghan peace process that is a long-standing process in the world. And for this end, there is also going to be Istanbul summit in 2021 going to be held. Of course, the last summit that could possibly happen. And but still, there is a huge rising level of violence in Afghanistan, as we can follow the news. There are also blasts in Kabul in a girls' school. So all of these are done by the Taliban, and because of a single reason that US is withdrawing. So all of this violence is because US has recently announced that it is going to completely withdraw from the country of Afghanistan by September 11, 2021. This is announced by the President of the United States. So this is going to be no condition based exit, no power sharing deal is going to be done, no peace negotiations are going to be done. So this is all because this shows that the US is totally vexed with the Afghan peace process, because it is going to have negotiations or talks between Taliban, and whenever it's going to have these between Taliban and the government of Afghanistan, nobody is binding to the talks or the negotiations. Taliban is not following anything to which the deals are done, and government is also not backing a bit. So because of this reluctant behavior in Afghanistan, US is now going away from dealing with the peace process there. So it is totally conditionless, and totally there is no power sharing between Taliban and the government, and no peace negotiations anymore. So it is leaving just abruptly, and complete withdrawal is going to happen. We shall see the role of Taliban in Afghanistan. Because of the US, it is enjoying international legitimacy. So Taliban group is not supposed to enjoy this, but it is enjoying international legitimacy because US feels that if this is given to Taliban, it would adhere to the talks and negotiations, and it would not do any violence. So in order to attract that, it has given international legitimacy to Taliban. But still Taliban is not stopping its violence, it is following its motives of violence. So there are no adherences to talks by Talibans, and the terror attacks are still continuing in Afghanistan. So when there is still violence and that US can do nothing about it, there is no point in staying out there. We shall see Pakistan's concern about it. Pakistan is regarded as the chief patron of Taliban. It is a supporter, and even Ashraf Ghani, the president of Afghanistan, is once known to speak this word about Pakistan, that it is following an organized system of support towards Taliban, and it is a very major player in Afghan conflict. And the US Taliban deal of February 2020, it was possible only because of Pakistan's role and Pakistan's negotiations with Taliban. It convinced Taliban to have this deal. And as long as US lived in Afghanistan, US military troops, the Pakistan government and Pakistan was supporting the US military there, because that was a geopolitical dependence, and US was not having any friends around. So Pakistan had to give US some support, and US was taking the support. For example, the city of Rawalpindi, it is a city in Pakistan near Afghanistan's border. So from that city, the military troops of US received some operational support as long as they lived in Afghanistan. So there is some friendly atmosphere between Pakistan and USA in Afghanistan region and in the conflict. So because of this friendship, all these years Pakistan was trying to turn US against India. So that was happening. But now, due to withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan, Pakistan now cannot mobilize USA against India. So this is the major concern of Pakistan if US left. And what is the idea of US? This has not been achieved, so US is leaving. But the internal idea of USA is to dissolve Ghani's government. Ashraf Ghani, the president of Afghanistan, to dissolve his government and to set up some new governance system there, in which Taliban and the present government, both of them share the power. So that is the main idea of USA, and distributing powers between Taliban and the present government is the main idea, so that Talibans don't do any violence there. So that is what it is thinking, but it's not happening. And to also bring some new Afghan constitution to this end. So this is the US idea, but that has not been that is not achieved so far. And some of the Taliban patrons are Pakistan, Russia, China, Iran. So Taliban is supported by these countries, and these countries are against the government of Afghanistan. And some regional powers over there are also supporting Taliban, They are Pashtuns. For example, this is just an example. Pashtuns are a race, a group of people in southern Afghanistan region. So Pashtuns in these countries are supporting Taliban so much. So all of these are against government, and this is how our international relations with Pakistan, Russia, China, Iran is different, because we are supporting the government of India is supporting the government of Afghanistan. The major good thing about America's military presence in Afghanistan the major good thing is because it has suppressed so many terrorist groups from coming over there. Had American military troops been not there in Afghanistan, by now there would be so many terrorist groups coming up in Afghanistan. But America's presence is like a check so far to these terrorist groups. But leaving Afghanistan would bring so many terrorist groups into Afghanistan and cause a chaotic situation in Afghanistan. So this is one main concern for all the countries in the world if America leaves Afghanistan. And what is China's role in all this? China participated in all talks between Taliban and the government of Afghanistan, and it mediated, it negotiated, and it has brought a major role in the Afghan conflict because of a major reason that Beijing vulnerability. Beijing is on the borders of Afghanistan. A province in Beijing called Xinjiang province, it is on the borders, it is sharing borders with Afghanistan. So any unrest in Afghanistan would impact Beijing. So Beijing is vulnerable to Afghanistan's conflict. So China's role is also huge. And China is now asking the United Nations to intervene and stop the violence, because US has failed and so many negotiations of other countries failed. So now it is the time to United Nations to intervene. That is the idea of China. That is the role of China. What is India's stand? India has always been with the same slogan about Afghanistan's position, Afghanistan's conflict, that is Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, Afghan-controlled peace process. So India always aspires to have this. So in speaking the word Afghan, it always means that government of Afghanistan. So India's foreign policy strongly says that, India's policy strongly speaks that India can never be a supporter of an extremist group. India must always support governments of a country. So that is our slogan or policy, the sovereign policy of India. So we don't support Taliban, we only support the government present over there. So we are against these patterns of Taliban like Pakistan, Russia, China and Iran. We are supporting Ghani's government, Ashraf Ghani, we are the patron of that government. But there is a fear if America leaves, the troops leave Afghanistan to India. The fear is there will be Taliban domination increasing if US leaves. There won't be any control over Talibans. So Pakistan, as it is supporting Taliban and it is against India, Pakistan would deviate Afghanistan's policy with India. So Pakistan would dictate Afghanistan's policy with India. Now Afghanistan is in the hands of government of Afghanistan. So Afghanistan's government is having good relations with India. But when once US leaves, if Taliban's domination increase, Pakistan will be dictating Afghanistan's India's policy. So that will make the situation very unfriendly between Afghanistan and India. The forever war finally is left unended because of the leaving of USA troops, and this is going to impact international relations between so many countries. Like as we can see, all of these are Taliban patrons and we are not Taliban patrons. So our relation with Pakistan, Russia, China, Iran, all of these will be impacted. And the major thing is not just the impact of international relations, but this is going to create terror in the world, and also there's going to start civil war. So we are going to be divided into factions, a set of group of countries on Taliban side and a set on the government side. So this is going to create some kind of civil war situation in the world. And India's External Affairs Ministry responds to this with a phrase called genuine double peace. So India wants a genuine double peace, that is, peace 1 is within Afghanistan, peace 2 is for countries around Afghanistan. So India wants genuine double peace. This is the response of India's External Affairs Ministry. So this has to be achieved, and we hope that there won't be any civil war even if US leaves Afghanistan. So this is an analysis on the US troops withdrawing from Afghanistan and how that's going to impact India and its relations with its neighboring countries. And thank you.